Okay, so last time we were talking about the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic chromosomes. And remember that in eukaryotic chromosomes, the shape is different, they're linear, and these chromosomes contain both DNA that is wrapped around those histone proteins. So the other big detail about eukaryotic chromosomes is remember that there was more than one in the cell. So where prokaryotes had just one, eukaryotes had multiple. So from here on out, we're going to be talking just about eukaryotic chromosomes. So again, note that eukaryotes have multiple chromosomes and that each one has a specific gene set. So remember on chromosome 1, maybe we have, this height gene. On 5, maybe we have this different curly hair gene, and maybe on 6, it's the PTC tasting gene. So each one of these has a different set of genes. Maybe over here we have the eye color gene. So each chromosome is made of a condensed molecule of DNA, I think we already covered this, encoding a specific set of genes and their regulatory sequences. So each one of these is just DNA, and each one has a different set of genes. So set of genes on 1 is different from the set of genes on 2, is different from set of genes on 3, and so on. And it's not just their genes, it's also their regulatory sequences. So remember, it's both. So those regulatory sequences like promoters, like your exons, introns. So DNA contains both of them. So what you're probably noticing just by looking at this karyogram right here is that they're soon to be duplicates. So there are 2 of these yellow chromosomes, there's 2 of these like gray-purple ones, there's 2 of these 16s. They have like a similar color, they have a similar, size. And that is because that eukaryotic cells can exist in one of 2 states, diploid and haploid. And all diploid and haploid refer to is the number of sets of chromosomes. And it's either 2 sets of chromosomes, like we have here. So you see each set of chromosomes has a pair. So that would be diploid, or just 1. And the 1 would be haploid. But let's go through that. So in your notes, scratch out the thing that says you have blank chromosomes and write these following statements instead. And just use that space on your guided notes. So diploid means that you have 2 versions of each chromosome. So you can see that for every chromosome on here, it's got a friend that looks a lot like it. Same color, same size. So this cell, because it's got these pairs of chromosomes, that means that it's diploid because it's got 2 sets or 2 versions of each chromosome. So 2 sets of chromosomes. Haploid, on the other hand, means that you only have 1. So we have chromosomes 1 through 23 in this human here, and we only have 1 version of each of these chromosomes. So that is what haploid means. It only means you have 1 version of each chromosome. So going back to, again, here's our diploid karyogram. And remember, diploid means that you have 2 versions of each chromosome. And these paired chromosomes have a special name, and that special name is homologous. So these are homologous pairs of chromosomes. So this would be a homologous pair of chromosome 1. This would be a homologous pair of chromosome 2, because they look like each other, right? They're same size. Homologous pair of chromosome 3. So each of these that you see here is a homologous pair. So for your notes, just write in that these pairs, because it's always 2, these pairs of eukaryotic chromosomes are called homologous chromosomes. And all homology means, that homo there, it just means similar. So for a homologous chromosome, that means that these are similar chromosomes. And you can tell that just by looking at them. They look similar to each other, right? So this one looks similar to that one, 17 looks similar to this one, 11 looks similar to its homologous pair, okay? So that's what homologous is. And you will have your homologous pairs in a diploid cell, because remember, diploid means you have 2 of every chromosome. So, okay, like this one's a homologous pair, that one's a homologous pair, this one's a homologous pair, okay? So they're the ones that look like each other, those are the matches. So let's look in closer about what homologous actually means. I've told you that they're similar, but what each of them has are the same order of genes. So let's look at chromosome 1. And let's say that on chromosome 1, I have gene A that's located on this part of the chromosome. And let's say that also on chromosome 1, I have a different gene that's located, say, further down on the chromosome. So in the homologous pair, on this side, its little friend, it's going to have the exact same order of genes. So just like on this chromosome over here, it has gene A at the top, gene A is going to be on the other side of that chromosome because it's homologous, it's similar. And it's going to have every gene that this first one has. So gene B is going to be in the same place as it was on the first chromosome. And these are all in the same order. So no matter, which chromosome 1 you're looking at, it's always going to be the same order. So this would be gene A and then GB. So they have a similar order, the same set of genes, but the alleles of these genes might be different. So let's say that we're on gene A and some part of gene A has this base sequence of CCA. So gene A is still over here on this homologous chromosome, but it might have a different sequence. So a slightly different sequence, right? So instead of CCA, maybe there was this minor base change of CAA. So this would be just a different allele of gene A. This homologous chromosome still has all the same genes, but they might be those alleles. It might be different versions. So this chromosome here has one allele of gene A, and the matching one on the other side might have a different allele. And that's going to be true for every gene. So like say gene B, say we look at the base sequence here, it's AAT. On the opposite side, maybe it's a different allele. Maybe there was a different a base change right here. Instead of AAT, maybe it's TAT. So this would again be a different allele of gene B. So this is still one allele of gene B, and gene B still exists in both of your homologous chromosomes, but they might be slightly different. They might be different alleles. So know that homologous chromosomes have the same order and set of genes, but the alleles of those genes might be different. Okay? So for your notes, know that each member of a homologous pair contains the same genes in the same location, the same sequence, the same order, but the allele of that gene might be different between them. So again, if we're like on this chromosome, if I have genes H through, I don't know, M, they're going to be also on here. Genes H through M are going to exist on chromosome 7, but in the same order, same location, but they might be different alleles. Okay? So know that. Okay. So we're humans, and humans have a total of 46 chromosomes, and this is a karyogram of what that looks like here. So our chromosomes, we have total 46, but they come in these homologous pairs, so they're in 23 pairs. So our diploid number would be 46, but our haploid number, when there's just one of them, it's going to be 23. And you already know that you get half your traits from mom, and this is actually how it happens. You get half your chromosomes from mom, and then you get half of your chromosomes from dad. Okay? So what this looks like is, say we have mom, and you might see the genotypes being noted with this like 2N. That just means you have 2 copies of every chromosome. So this is diploid if you see 2N. And most of us, when we're walking around, we're diploid. So you are diploid, mom is diploid, dad is diploid. We have 2 copies. So okay, so let's look at, let's just follow chromosomes 1 and 2 in mom. So mom has 2 of each of these chromosomes because she's diploid. So this is your homologous pair of chromosome 1, and this is her homologous pair of chromosome 2. So dad is going to have the same thing. Dad is also diploid, so he has his own different homologous pair of chromosome 1 and his own different homologous pair of chromosome 2. So what mom and dad did is mom donates one of her 2 chromosomes, one of her 2 homologous 1 chromosomes. So let's say that you got this version of chromosome 1 from mom. And then again, dad is only going to give you one of his chromosomes, one of his number 1 chromosomes, one of each. So let's say that for chromosome 1, you get maybe this version. And again, you're going to get a version of a chromosome from each of your parents, but just one. So for mom and chromosome 2, maybe you get that version of that chromosome. And then for dad, it's random which one you get. So maybe for dad, you get this version of that chromosome. So and this would eventually come to make you. Again, so you are also diploid because you get half from mom and half from dad, a copy of each homologous chromosome. Okay? So how this happened is that, you guys know where babies come from, right? So mom had to make a haploid cell. And haploid again means you just have one copy of every chromosome. And she put that haploid cell is the egg in females, and in males that haploid cell is sperm. So that is how you ended up, as you, because these two haploid cells, the sperm and the egg, with one set of chromosomes from each parent, fused together to make the diploid you, right? So haploid cells contain one chromosome from each pair. So this is going to happen for every pair of homologous chromosomes, 1 through 23. And the sex cells have special names. They're called gametes, and these gametes are haploid. So the egg in mom had only one of her two homologous chromosomes, so it was just one copy of each chromosome, and dad had only, again, one copy of each chromosome. And that is what is used to make you. So haploid cells are formed from diploid cells during a process called meiosis, and we're going to be starting that unit Friday to talk about how that happens. Again, you see here, this cell has replicated its DNA. Looks like we're following two chromosomes, and then it eventually split them until you have just one copy of each chromosome. Okay. So, how do we decide who is a boy and who ends up being a girl? And this is actually affected by your chromosomes. It's run by that. So we have two different kinds of chromosomes, and they are defined by whether or not they affect the sex of the individual. Okay, so on this slide, so again, we have, this is a human, so we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down to 22, and then we have a 23rd. So, and each of these are homologous. So autosomes do not determine sex, okay? So these are your autosomes, and this is pairs 1 through 22. So this has everything to do with all of your other traits, like your height, your skin tone, all the things that make up your heart cells. Everything like that is in chromosomes 1 through 22. But we look at this pair here. So this pair here, these are your sex chromosomes, and they do determine gender. So this is pair 23, and there's two kinds of sex chromosomes, and you're going to see here, you can tell that there's a difference between them. They are called X and Y. So the X chromosome is what, so let's see there. So this is what's going to tell you whether it's a boy or a girl. Okay, so let's go over here. So I'm just going to tell you right now that females have two copies of an X chromosomes, where males only have one. So females are always XX, and males have one X chromosome that they got from mom and one Y chromosome that they got from dad. So it's an exclusive inheritance. So let's say that we have this person here, and mom donates an X chromosome because that's all she has to give. So dad can choose to give his X, and in this case, because it's XX, the baby will be female. But let's say that, again, because this is random, let's say that instead of this, mom gives her X and dad gives a Y. In that case, the baby would be male. So XX chromosomes make a person female, and XY chromosomes make that person male. Okay. So I think I'm going to run out of time for this video, so we're going to stop that.